payment does not draw attention to itself. It appears where it always has, on the same date, in the same format, carrying the same amount. It arrives without explanation, long after the reason for it has faded. At one point, the payment was necessary. It had a purpose that was easy to name. It corresponded to something tangible, something active, something used. That alignment no longer exists. The need ended quietly, not with a final notice or a marked conclusion. It ended the way many things do, by becoming irrelevant before anyone acknowledged it. The payment did not receive that message. Quiet continuation allows this kind of mismatch to persist. It does not require maintenance. It simply repeats what has already been set in motion. The charge appears, the account adjusts, the system confirms success. Nothing interrupts the flow. There was a time when the payment was checked carefully, when its presence was reassuring, when it signaled stability, access, coverage, support. Those associations remain attached to the payment even as the context dissolves. The payment carries its history forward without revision. The service tied to it has changed or disappeared or been replaced. The need it once addressed no longer occupies the same space in the day. Still, the payment stays. It exists as a continuation rather than a decision. It persists because it has persisted before. Each successful transaction becomes the justification for the next. Quiet continuation relies on this logic. The payment does not feel wrong enough to confront. It is familiar, predictable. It arrives alongside other expected charges that belong unquestionably. It blends in. The mind registers it briefly, then moves on. There is always something else claiming attention, something more current, something unresolved. The payment remains resolved by default. Correcting it would require tracing it back, remembering when it began, reconstructing the reason, deciding whether that reason still applies. This process feels heavier than the amount itself. Quiet continuation favors forward motion without review. It allows systems to operate independently, unexamined, as long as nothing breaks. The payment does not break anything. It does not escalate. It does not demand interaction. It simply withdraws and leaves. There is an occasional moment of recognition, a pause when scanning transactions, a sense that this one does not belong with the others. The moment passes. The payment has learned how to be unnoticed. It arrives consistently enough to be expected, but without urgency. It has become part of the background cost of time passing. The need that once justified it ended cleanly but silently. No refund was issued, no reminder was sent. The end did not propagate backward. Quiet continuation allows beginnings to outlast endings. The payment survives not because it is defended, but because it is not questioned. It persists in the space where attention is thin. There is a subtle reassurance in its predictability, a sense that something is still being maintained, even if it no longer needs to be. Maintenance feels safer than interruption. The payment does not announce that it is unnecessary. It does not check in to confirm relevance. It assumes that continuation equals consent. That assumption remains unchallenged. Each month, the account balance adjusts slightly. The payment leaves its trace, then disappears into the total. Its individual identity softens over time. Quiet continuation does not erase memory, but it dulls it. The original purpose becomes abstract, a general impression rather than a clear explanation. Something to do with before. The payment stays aligned with the present through repetition alone. It updates itself automatically, keeping pace with the calendar even as its reason remains fixed in the past. There is no ceremony attached to stopping it, just a button somewhere, a checkbox, a confirmation screen. Knowing this does not prompt action. Stopping would require interruption. It would require stepping out of the current rhythm and altering it deliberately. Quiet continuation avoids that disruption. The payment is not large enough to force reconsideration. It is not small enough to disappear completely. It occupies the middle ground where effort feels disproportionate to outcome. This balance protects it. The need ended, but the habit did not. Systems are better at maintaining habits than evaluating them. The payment benefits from this imbalance. Occasionally, the payment is defended internally, not passionately, just enough to justify its presence. It might be useful again. It might still cover something unseen. It might be safer to leave it alone. These thoughts are not examined. They do not need to be consistent. They only need to delay action. Quiet continuation thrives on delay. The payment becomes a quiet marker of time. Another month has passed, another cycle completed, another confirmation received. It does not signify progress or loss. It signifies persistence. The need that ended has moved on. Life has reorganized itself around new requirements. New expenses have taken its place. The payment remains unchanged, as if waiting for its relevance to return. There is no resentment toward it. Resentment would require attention. Instead, there is neutrality. The payment is allowed to stay because it does not intrude. Quiet continuation creates a layer of stability that does not discriminate between what is necessary and what is merely ongoing. Everything that does not demand intervention is treated equally. The payment fits comfortably within this category. It is easier to allow it to continue than to confirm its irrelevance. Confirmation would make the ending official. Quiet continuation postpones endings indefinitely. The account reflects this. Numbers shift incrementally. Totals remain manageable. Nothing signals imbalance. The payment remains justified by the absence of consequence. There is a sense, faint but persistent, that this is temporary, that one day it will be addressed, that one day the list will be reviewed and cleaned. That day remains undefined. Quiet continuation relies on the promise of future clarity to excuse present inaction. The payment becomes part of the infrastructure of the month, like rent, like utilities, like services that operate invisibly. its lack of use does not disqualify it. Use is not required for continuation, only inertia. The need ended cleanly but quietly. The payment did not receive closure. It continues on, carrying a purpose that no longer arrives with it. Over time, the payment loses its emotional charge entirely. It is neither defended nor questioned. It simply exists. The system accepts it. The account absorbs it. The month moves forward. Quiet continuation smooths over this mismatch until it no longer feels like one. There is a moment occasionally when the payment is seen in isolation, when its name or label stands out. The moment passes. Stopping it would require acknowledging that the need is truly gone, that something has ended definitively. Quiet continuation resists finality. The payment remains a small bridge to a past configuration of life, one that no longer requires support but has not been formally dismantled. It stays because it can. No alarms sound, no warnings appear. The payment continues to be processed successfully. Success, in this context, means nothing more than completion. Each completed payment reinforces the pattern. Each one confirms that continuation is acceptable. The need does not return. The payment does not adapt. They exist on separate timelines now. Quiet continuation allows this separation to persist without tension. The payment stays after the need ended, not as an oversight, but as a residue, a trace left behind by a version of life that moved on without cleaning up. It remains because nothing has insisted that it leave. And so it continues, month after month, unchanged, unexamined, quietly present. Not demanded, not needed, still paid.